If you work in marketing, whether that's in-house as just one agency or you are running the whole thing yourself as a founder, this video is for you. I've spent a lot of time looking at marketing setup of so many companies, not in theory, but in practice. Real businesses, real teams, real workflows. And the same gap comes up every time. 5 of them. Every time I go through a marketing operation with someone, at least 3 of these 5 are missing, sometimes even all 5. So today I'm going to walk you through each one, what the content gap is, what the fix looks like, and which tool you can use to build it. None of this require a developer, none require a big budget. It just requires someone willing to sit down and set it up. So let's go. 1, lead capture. The first one is very common, and honestly, this is one that costs business the most money. Here's what I see consistently. Someone fills a contact form on the website. It arrives in an inbox, and then it sits in there onto someone else, usually somebody who has a bunch of other things to do, manually copying the details into the CRM. Sometimes that happens the same day. Sometimes it happens 3 days later. Sometimes it doesn't even happen at all, and the lead just disappears. Here's the thing about speed to response. It is consistently the single biggest predictor of lead conversion. The faster you follow up, the higher your chances of converting that lead. A lead that gets a response within 5 minutes is dramatically more likely to convert than someone that waits an hour. Not that kind of someone that waited an entire day. That window shrinks very, very fast. So the fix is simple. When someone submits a form, an automation creates a contact in your CRM automatically. It tags them by lead source, and then it sends the notification to whoever is responsible for follow-up, whether it's on Slack, on Teams, as an email, whatever your team uses. The tool that I will use for this will be N8N for the automation, make.com if that's your preference, Typeform or Tally for the form, and then whatever CRM you are using. HubSpot's free tier is more than enough to start. One honest limitation here though, this only works if your CRM has an API. Most do, but if you are using a legacy one, one that is custom built for yourself or very old, check that you have API access first before you plan this build. The second one is a time drain that nobody talks about. Marketing reporting. Every week or every fortnight, someone on the team spends a significant chunk of their time pulling numbers from Google Analytics, from Meta Ads, from LinkedIn, maybe from an email platform. They copy the numbers into a spreadsheet or a slide deck and send it around. That process takes anywhere from 2 hours to half a day, depending on how many channels you are reporting on. Now, the frustrating bit is that none of that time is value add. It's just a value added work there. The data is already sitting there. It's sitting on the platform. So the human is just copying it from one place to another. The fix is a scheduled automation. Set it up once every morning or whatever cadence you prefer. It pulls the numbers from each platform via their API, and then it drops them into a Google Sheet or a Notion document or a spreadsheet, whatever you work with, and it sends a summary to the entire team. You arrive at work and the report is already done. Nobody has to do it manually. The tools I've used for this is N8N for the automation, connected to Google Analytics API, and whatever ad platform you are using. Google Sheets is the destination, or sometimes if you want to pull it into Looker Studio, you can. The honest limitation here is that getting API access set up takes some work. For example, Meta Ads API requires a bit of configuration. So you need to budget like an afternoon to get all of this connection done. And once you do it, you don't have to do it again. Quick one. If this is hitting right, please subscribe. 1 video a week, all practical, no hype. Number 3 is where campaigns go to die. Content approvals. I have seen this play out the same way with almost every team I have worked in. Someone creates a piece of content. They email it to the person who needs to sign it up. That person is busy, so they reply 3 days later with feedback. A reverse version goes back. Nobody can remember which version was approved or which one is not. The campaign date has already moved. This is not a communication problem. It's a workflow problem. And workflow problems are exactly what automations are built for. The fix is to take the content out of email entirely and put it into a shared tool with clear status stages, something like Notion or Airtable. Each piece of content has a status: draft, ready for review, approved, scheduled. Most of these project management platforms like Asana, ClickUp, Notion, you can have things like that in there. When someone moves a piece to ready for review, the automation sends a notification to the approver, not a passive email they can ignore, a specific actionable alert. When the approver moves it to approved, the content gets flagged to whoever is handling scheduling. Everything moves through the tool and the status is always visible. Nobody needs to chase anyone. The tool I will use here is anything for the automation, Notion, and Airtable as the workflow tool itself. The limitation to be aware of here will require that the whole team will have to commit to using that team. If one person keeps going back to email, the workflow breaks. So it is important that you get buy-in from your team before you go ahead to build something like this. Number 4 has the clearest line to revenue, which is why I'm surprised how often it gets missing. This is lead nurture. Someone fills in a form, or they attended a webinar, or they downloaded something from your website. They get one email, maybe 2 if you're lucky, and then nothing. Most marketing team know they should be nurturing leads. They have the intention, but just don't have the bandwidth to set it up, and so it doesn't happen. So the fix here is to have a triggered email sequence. Someone takes an action, maybe they fill a form on the website, download a resource, registers for an event. An automated sequence starts 3 to 5 emails over the following 2 weeks. Relevant content, genuine value being offered to them. A soft ask at the end. Don't let this person send. It just works as soon as the person takes that action. Brevo has a free tier that handles something like this. Active Campaign is another good option. Any email platform with automation capabilities would work. So you connect it to your form tool and then the sequence triggers automatically. The honest limitation here is that the email still needs to be written. Automation handles the sending, but not the content. So budget a day to write sequence of emails. You can use AI for this as long as you know how to prompt it properly. Be careful about sending generic messages because sending generic emails does more harm than if you do not even send email sequences at all. And the 5th one, this one I see most often in agencies and in any business that runs project-based work. New client or project kickoff. Here's what happened without automation. A new project starts, someone creates a shared folder or tries to, and they realize that they can't remember the folder structure everybody agreed on. Someone writes the welcome email, someone pings the team, someone sets up tasks in project management tool. It takes an hour, and despite that hour that they use, something always gets missing or missed. The client doesn't get the intake form, the task is not assigned, the kickoff call never gets scheduled. This trick here is to trigger all of that from one action, one form submission, or one CRM status change. For example, the client moves to active, the automation starts to run the sequence. It creates a project folder in Google Drive. It's using the right templates. It sends the work on an email. It creates the task. It creates the task in your project tracker and notifies the team. The tool I will use for this is also anything for the automation layer, Google Drive for the folder, or whichever project management tool that you are using. Asana, Notion, ClickUp, they all have good integrations. The limitation here is that this takes longer to set up than others. You need to agree on the folder structure, the task template, the tasks that are involved before you can automate all of that. So get the alignment first, then build the automation around it. So these are the 5. Lead capture to CRM, so that you stop losing deals that you are too slow to follow up. Automated reporting so that nobody spends half a day copying numbers from one place. Content approval loops so campaigns don't die in small email chains. And lead nurture so people who show interest actually hear from you. A new client kickoff so that every project starts the same way every single time. None of these are revolutionary. They are operational basics that most marketing teams are running without. So, and that's exactly why fixing them makes such a big difference. You are not adding complexity, you are removing friction that is already there. None of them requires you hiring a developer. None requires any significant budget. Did you require someone willing to sit down and actually doing the build? If you want help with any of this, I will put a link in the description below so that you can let us know how we can help you to do something like this for your team. And if you have been enjoying this, I'll see you again next week.